Exciting.
And we're live. So I'm here today with a good friend of mine on a podcast called A Good Story. His name is Joe Gilderson. But not only is he a good person, you really are a good friend of mine. I've gotten to know you over the last couple of years. You're a really good friend. You are a really good business owner. I learn a lot from you. You gotta stop talking to me about so much stuff. You're a really good listener.
It's the headphones.
You're a really good sports fan, even though you're from Boston. You're a really good negotiator. You're a really good deal maker. And yes, me and you have spoken about a personal thing here and there. You are a really good father. But overall, you are a really good person, and that's why you're here.
Well, I appreciate all those comments. You know, I work at that every single day.
All of those things?
How to be a better person.
I think progress, it was like Tony Robbins who would say that progress is actually what equals happiness. So when people are seeking fulfillment and stuff, you know, it's there's the mindset of you're either in growth, even in your health, you're either moving towards health or moving away from it. You're usually not just coasting.
You can't really stay in one place. That's a very short-term thought. It just doesn't work like that. You go forward, you go backward, one way or the other, whether you want to or not.
That's right.
So I do believe in that. Any sort of progress. And for me, like I've always had that. Like there's some sort of fire inside that makes me want to just do something more or do a little bit more. No explanation. It's always been like that. Don't know where it comes from. But then that comment from Tony Robbins, I've always found amazing.
Oh, it was him that said that. You've heard that before, right? Yeah.
Progress equals happiness.
So what are you progressing right now?
Well, there's always something going on.
Well, so in your business, right? So and even how this is, I would start out, because what happens with me and you and I do work together with certain clients on certain things, and we tend to hear sometimes from those same folks, and we hear what they say. So even when I started doing these previous episodes, you know, the first really prerequisite for a guest to be here is I have to like them and I have to be able to enjoy the time I spend with them, because this is going to be at least an hour. I don't know if you know that, but
You probably should have told me that ahead of time. I don't know if I like you that much, is what I'm trying to say.
The other prerequisite was to offer something of value. I think that's really important, not just to like, you know, just to have, and then so on LinkedIn specifically, why I'm streaming is because I enjoy time with you. And I know on LinkedIn that people do need your guidance, advice, or even just to bounce things off of you. And that especially happens right now with nonprofits, obviously corporate as well. But just on the nonprofit aspect for a second, there was some uncertainty and people were scrambling. And are they still scared? I mean, what do you hear just as a report from your perspective? Because we hear, you know, sometimes me and you are on these Zoom calls when you hear politicians talk, hey, this may change, or we hear other leadership who say, hey, this is what's happening. We have our own vendors that we work with and we know the clients. So from your perspective, what does it feel like?
Well, you know, in March, April, I think kind of when everything started this year, I heard from almost everyone that they were afraid. They were deathly afraid. And what's interesting is, like, you know, we work on more than 100 fundraisers every single year, and we have for a long time. But you don't always think about how they make money. You see the fundraising element, and that we know all about. But that's not the only thing that drives them. So how do they really get their money? We're with one particular group during that time. I think it was in April, and there was a lot of conversation going on. And they said, I don't know, they're like a $30 million organization. 70% of their money comes from federal funding. And I looked over at our team and I said, we might not be working with them next year, because that's an enormous amount of money to replace.
Wow.
And that's when I started thinking about, okay, we need to have a better understanding of how they actually get their funding. Is it state? Is it fundraising? Is it federal? And, you know, more of our clients, honestly, are some blend. They're not 70% coming from federal government. I think that's an unusual client for us. But more of our people are kind of like, some other people have the language better. Angela's probably better at the language, but planned giving, and they're not just raising the money that day, but it's more long term, and it's more of a thought process. So fortunately, I think more of our clients are like that than 70% federal funding, because I'm like, yikes, that doesn't seem good right now. But as far as now and since that time, March, April, I have not heard that conversation as much. I think because when we see them, they're in their primary fundraising moment, and we're not necessarily looking at the rest of their operation. And so when we see them, all the focus is on how to, execute. And that's really what we're good at, to be honest. So I can add value to that. I can't add value to their back end nonprofit operations. I don't know how that works,
Right.
but I can add value to how to make it happen in an event. And so most of our clients, honestly, they've had excellent audiences. Their fundraise, they've hit their targets or been close. Not all groups are equal. Let's be honest. Some are significantly better run than others. But the ones that are well run and have a good mission and really stay in tune to the mission, I think they've done well. But that's only in what I'm seeing.
Mhm.
That's not I only
Yeah.
see one section of their business, so to speak. But I haven't had the conversation as much. They haven't said, hey, you need to cut our budget by 20%. That hasn't come up.
Well, what I've liked for what I heard, just going along with that, is because so many, and we're just talking about Westchester, at least for me and you. Like, I just know about Westchester. I don't really know nationally, even outside of the state. They were proactive about it, and I think that was a good thing. So even if the fear was there and changes were going to happen, they didn't sit back and wait. And that's what I mean by, like, we have, I don't know if I said this while we were live or off camera, but we have really good leadership in Westchester that helps steer these directors, executive directors, director of developments on, hey, this is changing. This is maybe how you should pivot. And I think that's helped them in a lot of ways.
No, I would agree. We see some of the people that we work with.
And I'm talking about Jan Fisher.
Jan Fisher, nonprofit Westchester, excellent leader, all in, just
Yeah.
all in on helping all the nonprofits, and she knows a lot. Like she's a tremendous resource for people.
And she's championing. I can't say that word for me. Championing.
Yeah, we shouldn't use big words. We should not do that.
If it was last year, the year before, but she was, lobbying for a bill to get passed. I mean, this is when you say she's all in.
She is in.
That's what you mean.
Yeah.
She's not sitting at a cubicle
No.
writing papers.
No, and she's doing great work, and that's providing a support network for all these nonprofits, and they're getting information really quickly. There's other groups too. I mean, Hillary Millman, the Association of Development Officers,
Yep.
they're doing great work. Again, it's that backbone and infrastructure. You have Marcia Gordon, the Business Council of Westchester. They're really involved in getting information out to people right away. And that's where I agree with you. Like, the leadership is really solid. Even Westchester County Association now is doing some things in partnership with Nonprofit Westchester. So Michael Ramita and the team there. We do have really good leadership. Even the county exec, Ken Jenkins, he's at every friggin' event I go to. And we have the running joke when he comes in is good morning, and he says it twice. Or he says, good evening. No, I didn't hear you. Good evening. And it's hysterical.
He does that every time?
We love Ken. We love Ken. He's a great guy, but very supportive of the community in every element, and specifically nonprofits. So was George Latimer prior to him.
Yeah.
Very involved. But to your point, that the leadership is really there for them, for the nonprofits.
What I like is also that they're accessible. So I feel like, I walked up to Ken Jenkins at an event where he was, running in and out because he's got a
He's got a lot of
20 events that day where he's got it. But, he gave me a card because I was talking to him about being on this. And that would be a nice guest to have if I can get him to come here. He said, we never say no. That's what he said to me. He goes, I'll be wherever you ask me to. I never say no. Now, I know what that means. He's going to book me somewhere where it's going to fit for him. So it's not just an automatic yes. It's on his time, and I'll be happy to do that. But the fact that he stopped and, like, he had to run away, and he stopped and talked to me and gave me his card and just gave me that time. I really do appreciate that, because he doesn't have to do that.
Well, I think he believes in that service leadership model, and and I feel like many of our local leaders believe in that, and I know that that's something that we carry over to at corporate AV too. Is, they say, oh well, we got to do this. I said, technically, I'm just here to help you. So, what do you need me to do? And if you keep with that perspective, you're going to have more success. Is the reality, because people then count on you, and now you're reliable, and now that becomes part of who you are, and I think that's who you want to be. You talk about good stories and good people. That's what you want to be. How do you get better at being a good person?
So you brought up something really important that I did not bring up. And this is why I love doing my own podcast, my own way, because when I introduced you, I just talked about who you were as a person. But you just informed, people who are watching what you do, which is also really important. So you are also the owner of Corporate AV, a company that's been around for 40 years.
Yeah, this is our 40th anniversary this year.
So when I say you're a good business owner, I'm not just saying like somebody that had, like, you won't brag about this. Like, you got to see Joe's shop. I mean, you got can I say this?
You can say whatever you'd like.
You have a really nice space.
And neither confirm nor deny.
Like, one of the things I take pride in is this studio. And when people come in here, I like how comfortable they feel. That's all I want, And they do. And I've set it up. It's been piece by piece, paint by paint. Everything in here is done by me.
I can tell.
Yeah, because some of it looks like crap.
For both good and bad, I can tell. It's got your energy, man. It's like, it's fun, it's creative, it's thought out, and detailed at the same time, and that's who you are as a filmmaker.
But I think, thank you. For you, it's when an event happens, your truck goes into a loading dock and things like get snuck in, so to speak, because you have to make it seem like this stuff was always here and nobody saw all the chaos behind it. So I guess what I'm saying is, like, you have a lot of stuff. And then, like, I know that you have a lot of stuff, and I would see your trucks pull in because we have to enter the same way. They don't let folks like us use the front door.
We're the hired help, dude.
So, but I would see the truck, and that in itself is impressive to me. But when I saw your shop, because I think even me, I forget that truck has to go someplace and return the stuff, and it has to live somewhere. And that's one of your buildings, and you have a couple locations. So I just want to set this up. When I say that you are a business owner, I mean, you got a full-time staff, you have people, you got payroll, you have multiple locations. You are navigating even the business of, like, I know, God, for you, so live events in person is so much of what you do. I don't want to talk about COVID, but obviously you can just imagine that had to talk about pivots. Like, you had to pivot just to survive, unless you wanted to. I didn't want to talk about COVID, but I don't know how the hell you survived that. It's amazing, Joe. It really is. That's why you're a good business owner, because so many people would go, and I knew them, and I don't say this as a knock. It would have been easier to just go, I don't know what the hell's next. Let me get out of here. I got to take on some debt. I don't know the future of my industry. Is this? So anyway, that's why you're a good business owner.
Well, I don't think today is the discussion point for that, but I would say that it was very different, and we had to make quick changes. And, they're hard to forget. If you go through that kind of experience, and we'll call it trauma, you really need to learn from it. Otherwise, you're an idiot. I mean, like, if you don't learn from something that traumatic. And the funny thing is that I think a lot of our clients reverted back to, like, the programs they used to do prior. And I feel like I'm in these events going, man, it's too long. It's too long. It's too long. Like, don't you remember? Like, that changed everything. But people like being together, and that is great, because it's totally different. The online experience is a totally different experience than being together with people. You still cannot replicate the energy.
Yeah.
The like the mentality, that coming together as a group. You can't replicate that online. I mean, we can have conversation, we can communicate a topic or a subject, material, But you can't get that energy. You can't get the vibe. You can't get the feeling of we're together in doing something. And that's why, all these, we work with a lot of corporate too. And most people have to work at least 3 days, mostly 4 days now in the office.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like that even a year ago. It was a tour dayer, come in on Wednesday, have lunch with the team. Now they got to go to work. And they got to go back and sit in traffic and ride the train and do whatever they got to do. Now, for us, that's actually good. For corporate AV, that's good. There's more meetings. There's more things they have to do together. That's better for us. So for me, thanks for coming back to work.
But and the in person, just because we had the NPW event the other week, last week or this
Last
week.
week.
And I don't say this just to say it. I really, when I walked in, it was like, hey, how's it? I would see somebody from Child Care Council Westchester and 3 people. Hey, how's it going? See them, and then see somebody from Westchester, like Terry Kirshner. See them, and it was just like I felt like my head was on a swivel, saying hi to people, and I went, oh, this is really for this, and I was happy, like smiling, and I was like, this is the part that I'm not trying to just say it. I do mean it, because I turned to my wife and I went, oh my God, this actually feels like some of my family. Like, this is what it feels like on the holidays when I go to my family's house and everybody, hey, how you doing? There's hugs and kisses. That's what I really felt. So to your point, like, lives, virtuals were good, but man, nothing like that.
No.
Like even this,
No, it's not the same.
I can't, I forget that we're even streaming live. I just, this, to be in the presence of you is just something that I really enjoy. I do.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
For you, I think about every year, I'm just checking in on technology.
Okay.
AI, 4K, 8K, 20K. There's not 20K. There is like an 8K camera. And I won't buy it. But so I do think about some things with technology, like what do I need to look ahead for? I think I'm looking at AI is definitely going to change the way I do things for the next couple of years. But in terms of events, in terms of what you need to do to provide services for your clients, what do you foresee? Is there anything that's changing? Is there something that you would like to do differently next year?
Well, I mean, there's always things changing. I look at the AI side for us more on the business side than the technology side per se. Like on the business side, there's things I think we could streamline, improve, and try to utilize, that kind of tool to do that. But it's just another tool. It is kind of like another piece of equipment. I mean, it's software, but another thing. Whereas for me, it's always about how do we get our team better? How do we get them to think more, proactively? How to get it right, to understand what the client's trying to do before they try to do it. Because a lot of times people can't really describe to us what they want to do. But if we have a sense of it, we can kind of solve it before it. And then they go, oh yeah, that's exactly what I want. We're like, yeah, we kind of figured that.
Yeah.
But and to get our processes better, I mean, there's always new equipment. We have some pieces coming in. Literally just ordered them yesterday that I'm excited about because it gives us just more capabilities, which means more solutions. And there may be things people don't even know that they want or need. But that gives us a way, because they're counting on us to bring ideas as well, right? Just like they're counting on your vision when you're filming. They're really counting on, they're not counting on your hands. They're counting on your mind. They're counting on your heart. Like what you're bringing to the table is much more than a camera. And it's the same for us. The idea is that we're bringing them some different concepts, some things that maybe work in a different field. Like when I used to go to concerts and everything like that, the entertainment, we'll say, whether it's, these award shows you see on TV, big concerts, anything like that. I always go and I'm looking to see what part of this giant, environment could I take and apply to our clients, but on a smaller scale. Because obviously, they're not going to have, 25 tractor trailers of Taylor Swift equipment, but But there is something that can apply, and so whether it's LED technology, and we'll apply it to certain things, as a backdrop, maybe they could apply it to there. Maybe they can't do what Google or Salesforce would do and have the entire room in, as a fishbowl and everybody's looking in. But could they take one element that helps them maybe raise more money because they can swap out sponsors and rotate it through? Could they just add a little bit of lighting that makes it look like a different environment? All those things are like, we're constantly looking at equipment. So I'm excited about these switchers because they're also new, and I like having stuff that nobody in the area has. I don't know. It's just to have a little bit of an edge, a little bit of a competitive edge, and they are fairly new, so it's pretty cool. So we'll have some pixel hue switching coming real soon, hopefully by the new year, because they're just were ordered.
It's so interesting, even what you're saying too, because new technology, like for you, even if you get new technology, there's still
It's still old by the time I get it. So, I mean, it doesn't matter. It's right. It's like the computer you get or the TV.
But somebody also has to work it. So I think one of your best resources is your people and your staff. Like I even worked on an event with you, and the very confident, he was the lead, whatever you call him, right? Very confident guy, but he made sure to let me know, like, I have a TV background, like, and the experience that he had, and decades, I think it wasn't like I worked in TV for a year after college. It wasn't something like that. Like he worked in TV. And again, when I work with you and your team, I realize, oh, this isn't just plug in wires, run it to a speaker and press power. And then ta-da, like it's so much more that goes into it. And people do expect you to solve problems because they may run into a venue that they hadn't been in before. And maybe you worked in that venue before. So you may actually be more aware of what to do versus that client. And that's what they need you for.
Yeah.
And one of the ways they need you for.
No, and honestly, it's great. So we had something just come in really detail-wise this week, and it's for tomorrow. It's for tomorrow and Saturday. And it's hard to turn things so quickly.
Like you got the call on
Wait till I tell you what
Monday or Tuesday?
What it's for. It's for the Heisman Memorial Trophy. Okay. Now, fortunately, I know I've worked with the person. I'm the only 3-time winner. So Tim Tebow, only 2. I got 3. Okay, I'll show you the pictures. Just let me tell you about it. But so I have worked with the gentleman who runs the organization for
I'm going to see your arm
years.
later. I'm going to toss you a ball, see if you can throw a football.
No, it's not going to be a spiral. But it's going to look a little more like a Frisbee. But they just called. There's tremendous logistical details because there's only 2 hours to do the work.
Mm.
That's like the enemy of what we do is time. More than anything else is time. So right before coming here, I'm actually separating out my team. There's 3 different managers to manage just a section so that all the details, they can just do one thing and just do that right one time. Because that's really what you're trying to do is just get the job right. And people count us to execute, to get the details and give them the result. That's all they want is the result.
Yeah.
But the chips sometimes are stacked against you a little bit. In this case, there's one of the rooms that the hotel recommended a certain setup that's not going to work. Now, why would they do that is what I ask myself. Like, it's like 90 feet long. How are they going to see from 90 feet away? Why would we do that? So we just told them, you got to switch the room around. Now, this is, again, tomorrow. This is the conversation we just had like at 9 o'clock. So you got to switch the room around. Well, and our client says, they'll do whatever you think is best. I said, well, then this is what's best. You have to have that experience. You have to have that knowledge. And you have to have that conviction to say this is what's best. And then you got to do it. Problem is many people come up with ideas. It's not flushed out. It's just, we're in the it's got to be right business. Mm-hmm. Any mistake for us is a public mistake. Whereas it's not like the waiter or the waitress, they bring you the wrong meal and you say, I ordered the salad.
Dude, even me, if I mess something up on a production, I can fix it in post. If you're doing a live thing.
It's there forever. And it's the most important person is the one it's happening to on stage.
You must get so used to things not going exactly as
There's
you should be an astronaut.
thousand things that go wrong that nobody knows about.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And that's how it has to be. It has to be like that. And there's always a plan B. I mean, there's literally always a plan B. We did something in New Jersey the other day. Group again brought us in literally the day before. And it was supposed to be one thing, became much more complex. No problem. We had time for that, so that makes it easier. But we had a plan B for literally like everything. So, okay, look, if this doesn't work the way it's supposed to, here's your alternative. It's not sexy, but it will work. So that's your alternative. Just so that they know, the team knows ahead of time, okay, and they feel confident. Because you have to feel confident. To do your job right, you have to feel good, right? You have to feel like the organization's behind you. You have to feel like the client wants you to be there and, and that they appreciate the help. It's why we do so much work with nonprofits. They always say thank you. I mean, obviously our name is Corporate AV, so that's where we come from, is corporate. And we like them because they pay all of our bills. So thank you. But, there's something different about working with groups that help other people or help animals or help a cause. Like there's just something fulfilling about that. And for us, when I first started, it was pretty much all corporate was what we did. And right, kind of like this, 2005, we did some bits and pieces, like fundraising events. Not a ton, but some. And then right around when the financial turn was coming, 2008-ish, said, well, and all of our work was in New York City, almost all of it. So, we're going to have some challenges with some things because we could kind of see how it was going to shape up because jobs were the issue. And union jobs was an issue. And in hotels in New York City, union jobs a big deal. So I kind of knew that was going to be a problem for us. So we started making an adjustment, and nonprofits became, we said, all right, well, these guys actually have to hold events to fulfill their mission. And so it seems like a natural fit. Okay, maybe you take less money. But can you be helpful to them? And then once you get into it, you're like, wow, look at all the things people are doing. Like, that could be my family that they're helping. Mm-hmm. That could be, your family that they're helping. That could be my neighbor. That could be anybody. And once you get into it, you're like, wow, this is good. We need to do more of this, and then there's certain groups you're more connected to than others. I mean, certainly from personal backgrounds or whatever, but it's a nice blend. So now it's like we do a lot of corporate, a lot of nonprofit, hospitals and healthcare, and then education as well, like higher ed, college usually.
Which nonprofits have you worked with that you bought in so much that you ended up either pulling out your checkbook or booking some time to volunteer?
Make-A-Wish, Hudson Valley is definitively the one that I kind of always have felt most connected to.
And did that happen from an event? That's what I mean, from experiencing their event or something with them and being like, oh, wow.
It's so
because we all
funny.
know about Make-A-Wish Foundation, but those stories are profound.
They are profound, but it was really their former executive director, Tom. Tom was amazing. And now Christine's amazing. Like, they just have great people all around. But he wouldn't give us the work the first time that we were talking about it. He says, nah, he goes, I like you. And I think you guys can do good work. I can't trust you with my most important thing. I'm like, huh.
Wow.
I'm like, all right, I get it. No problem. And we stayed in touch.
See, that's where you're so good.
We stayed in touch. He said, hey, I got a smaller thing. You want to do that? I said, absolutely. Try us out. And he was brilliant. I mean, he was selling them the entire time. He would walk into our room. We'd have a team of 10 working on the event. He would go and he'd talk to every single person. He'd say, guys, I got to tell you, let me tell you why you're here. And he would connect the dots of the mission to what was going to happen so clearly that every part of the team was in. What do they say? Locked in? They were locked in. Like, they were on it. They felt a part of it. They're now part of the Make-A-Wish team, not just the corporate AV team.
Yeah.
And so from that moment on, it was kind of like, wow, they're so focused on what they're trying to do that is clear. It becomes very clear. Because I think that's what hurts some of the nonprofit groups is they're distracted in their message. You know, they're saying this thing, but the event doesn't really address that. Sometimes people don't know what event they're at. Like they're kind of confused. They're grabbing papers. Oh yeah, yeah. Like they're not like they're not into it. You know what I mean? And that's the big win is you got to get their hearts. You got to get that emotion. Just like when you're making their films, you need that emotion. You have to connect the dots.
Well, and what to your point, it starts, so just talking about events specifically, right? Like we work with Charisse of Events to Remember. So, and I brought you in specifically on one client who I felt like the AV team was just falling short in terms of the process, right? Because for what I do in galas, it's a video that is usually followed by a paddle raise. But if the event sucks,
It doesn't really
it
matter.
doesn't matter how good my video is. So if the parking was an issue, so obviously there's things outside of control, like the planning coordinator is not going to help with traffic, but the registration, the flow to get in, if the people knew where they were, they kind of had a context of what they were going to experience. They knew where their table was. They were greeted, friendliness, all of those things building up to the experience, the speakers coming up, not having to struggle to hear them, sounding good, on time, a flow. If all of that stuff is happening to lead up to I actually get chills because I always get chills when I say something true. I wish I could measure that a little more personally because or just like wave and be like, we need to splice that up because that was truth right there. That is what I want to be partnered with because, and to your point, what you were saying before is nonprofits put so much stake into this event. Not that it's all of their funding, but that's where they really get to tell people what they've been doing. And we don't want that to mess up in any way. That whole experience has to be try to appear flawless, not actually be flawless, but appear flawless.
It's got to be connected too. And sometimes it's, when you have boards, a lot of the groups, they have a board and it's a volunteer board and everybody's just really trying to do something good. Everybody's trying to do something good. But once ego's involved, it becomes a little more complex. And you can see oh no, it's got to be like the napkins. Who gives a shit about the napkin? Come on.
Somebody,
But I mean, I'm just saying it's like you don't focus on this thing. Let's get the
that's
message
not going to be the thing
right.
that
the message.
That's not the deal breaker. The napkins, right?
No, yes, very pretty. But I mean, get the message right, and it's all got to work together. And I think sometimes it gets confused because there's some politics, there's some things going on, but you got to get the message right. And if that experience can feel like it's all connected from start to finish, people are going to come back. They're going to donate. They're going to tell their friends. They're going to buy a table. They're going to bring more people. Maybe someday they're an honoree. Who knows? But they're going to be part of the organization in a much more compelling manner.
You brought up two stories that are happening this week where people called you up last second.
Yeah, I don't like that part.
No, I don't want people to think they can do that to you.
No,
so
I don't like that part.
what is the right way to plan for something? And even for me, and even think about this too, is because I was thinking about what you said, just setting up, like time is your enemy. If somebody books me on a shoot, 9 a.m. we start, how much time do you need to set up? I always say 2 hours. How much time do you need to? I've seen you set up the day before sometimes.
Yeah, it depends on the scale. I mean, sometimes it's multiple days before. If things are hung in the air, that's a different set of time. If it's multiple rooms, if it's multiple locations, if it's a tent and it's outside, there's a tent build, there's power infrastructure layout. It really just depends on the scale of the project. And that's the same as when you're booking it or designing it, right? It depends on the scale. And is it something you've done before? If it's something they've done before, all those things lengthen the time. In general, we're working on things like there's a preliminary 6 to 9 months out. Then as we hit 3 months, there's certain targets and things that have to be done.
That's ideal for you.
Yeah. And then 1 month in is when all of it really starts, coming down, the finalizing of all the details. But we're working on logistics to things, sometimes 5 months, 6 months out. Depends on the complexity because we do work around the country too. So we're in San Francisco in January. We're in Austin in May. We're someplace else in between. But so those require more time. You know, you just have to do more planning. But the actual detail of what you're doing, well, we know the foundational, like of what it's going to be. All right, we're going to be running whatever is going to go on screen. It's going to be this type of screen because that's the new thing. Now we have like 3 different types of screens depending.
I'm very specific on a screen. You know this about me.
Well, because you want to see your film in its best light,
Well, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that makes sense because if that helps them make money, then that's worth it. And you know, on the corporate side, like it's usually maximum impact is what we're going for, and so that changes depending on the space and their audience. If it's an internal audience versus an external audience, very big budget difference. External audience means it's selling a product in some capacity, an idea, but they're selling a product.
Interesting.
Internal, they're still selling a product, but it's going to have less bells and whistles.
Less
Gonna be-
pressure,
It's going to
right?
not necessarily. If it was like a executive leadership meeting, those are like the highest level of pressure.
Right.
But what they're going to put into it may not be the same. It's just a you know, but you have to know your client, right? That's the whole idea. Is you're asking those questions, you're learning, you're trying to understand them better. What's going to be the right solution? Because you do have when you're filming, you have. I mean, you have thousands of potential ways to go, right? With the idea, you can go anywhere. You have to be able to narrow it down. Well, it's the same from our side. So we're not just kind of, all right, here's your projector, ma'am. You know, like that's, you know, that's gonna be 250. Like that's not what we're doing. You know, like
I like that this deal maker is an Italian guy.
right. He's a paisan. I mean, but like it's not like that. That's not what we're doing. You know, we're consultants trying to help people solve a problem. That's all. And anyone we talk to, like, you know, pretty much can use our services in some capacity. But we're not just calling people at 6 o'clock at night and saying, "Hey, you need a new credit card." Like that's not what we do. We're so specific that you know it's funny because when I first came here, somebody said, "Oh, mail me some information." I mean, this is 20 years ago at this point, so you'd actually use mail. But I'm like, I'm not gonna mail you information. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, you're never gonna look at it. You're just gonna throw it in the garbage. I'm not gonna send you anything. Turns out they actually would keep it, which blew my mind because I'm like, wow, I don't even remember. You remember me from 3 months ago? Wow, that's crazy. How'd that happen?
From a mailer.
Because that's when I realized we're kind of a specialty service, and I didn't know. And that was at the basic level. Now it's totally different. There's literally nobody else that can do what we do. I mean, in a local level. I mean, around the country, yes, but
Well, no, because even a simple thing like this is what I saw you do, and like I wouldn't know who else to call besides you, and I know a lot of techie people. I don't want to call you a tech,
I'm very non-tech, so
but I have seen you act as a technical director. That's the term that I call it, when you're telling people, because I don't know if you realize what's happening. So let me set this up from my
all right.
experience.
The
Sometimes,
visual.
yeah, when Joe is working an event, because I almost have to write this down because I'm going to forget, because I really want to tell a story. You made something so simple, your team, like happen flawlessly, and I don't think anybody, like I just wouldn't know who else to call. Like I could probably do it, but I'd have to do like some YouTube watching and then be like, okay, I know how to do this, but wasn't just like ready to go do it. Your team did it flawlessly. But so sometimes what's happening is there's a hub where Joe sets up, right? We call it a video village. Do you call it a video village too?
sometimes front of house, video village, yeah.
Okay. So there's usually like the head guy, audio guy, who kind of knows everything. There might be a lead above him who's allowed or wants to interact with the client. And the technical people usually, and even I'm going to say this about my sound guys. My sound guys on set are always the weirdest guys. And it's because they just have to sit on a job for like 8 hours all day and not say anything. So when you're in your own head for that long every day, I think you're going to end up being weird. No offense, I love my sound guys, but that's who you are. They always walk in front of the frame, but not for you. We're talking about event. So there's a couple of guys in this hub, and there's a lot of different components happening. There's sometimes up to, I've seen you miking up, I want to say that at least 12 mics went out that were, there might have been 16, but my brain says definitely 12. They were being preloaded onto people. and then color coordinated or number marked. So somebody, and probably the whole team, needs to realize who's on which mic, and to have those off, when they're not on stage. Then there's video feeds going on. Then there's PowerPoints that could be presented, sponsorships, all coordinated on multiple TV screens. Some are in the room, some are outside of the room. So that just doesn't happen by a robot or AI. There is a person, usually it's Joe or somebody as qualified or capable as Joe, being the brain of the network for all those things and understanding when those need to be coordinated with run of show to be able to speak the language to the person who's also wearing a headset. Your shot is off. This mic is not on. Get this done. There's not duvetine on this. This is covered. This is exposed. So all these things are being talked about. That's why when you're at an event, you just like people go up to the mic and you hear them talk. All these things are happening for that 30 minutes, scrambling for days just to get to that moment where you just finished your cappuccino and now the keynote speaker is coming up, and it should just feel like it happened. So Joe is doing all of this. That's why I say he's not a techie, but there are times when I've seen you have to lead all of that experience and you do it. That's not something everybody is capable of doing. So it's very, very remarkable and impressive. The thing that I saw that I wanted, I'm so glad I got that out and not forgetting the other part that I really wanted to talk about at an ADO event. Was that ADO? Yes. So at an ADO event, the Association of Development Officers, that's what Hillary Millman runs. I'm trying to make sure it was definitely an ADO event. It had to be.
I can't say. When you
No, it was,
spit out this
I'm sorry, it was
thought, then
BCW. I think it was BCW.
Then I will know.
It was BCW. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, Hillary. This was BCW. And it was in Tarrytown, Tappan Hill, that place.
Maybe.
And so this is what you pulled off. And not pull it off, it was just part of your life, but this is what's impressive to me. There was 4 speakers, panel, moderator. But before the speakers got up, there was the keynote, or a speaker from KeyBank had to give a presentation with a slideshow about like the economic state. And he was not in the building. He was remote. So you all had to set up TVs so that everybody could see. You had to coordinate with him either beforehand or live about which slide he was presenting. I don't know who was controlling that, if it was his side or your side. I think you prefer to control the click. But this happened.
Yeah.
He was patched in from someplace else. He gave a 30-minute presentation. It was kind of long, but it was a 30-minute presentation about the economy. And that happened, and then the speakers got up, and the panel discussion happened. And that all happens within an hour. And I don't think people realize the technical. I'm not trying to say you've obviously done things more complicated than that, but that's just something that you're able to do. I wouldn't know who else to call.
Well, but the good news is the audience doesn't really notice it, right? That's the whole idea, is that you're trying to communicate a message from their point, and the topic being finance and economy. Like, that's what people paid money to go there and hear. And do they care where it came from necessarily? I mean, the fact that we can do that is amazing.
That's what I'm
It's so
saying.
cool that you can have experts that don't live down the street come in and out of meetings. Like, is amazing to me. I think it's so cool.
So not that I want to talk about COVID, but did COVID help you in that way to be able to handle remote much
All
more?
right, so I'm
It
going to tell you
forced
a funny story.
Yeah.
Okay. So January, we'll say, of 2020. So 2 months before full shutdown and meltdown in New York, anyways. Someone had asked me from a hotel property that we do a lot of work with, that is now no longer a hotel property, speaking of COVID. And they said, oh, somebody's asking about this thing, Zoom. And we really hadn't used it. And I'm like, they want to do what? They want to get this person from here and this, and we're going back and forth. I said, yeah, we can do it. $10,000. Because I really didn't want to mess with it. I was going to just do it the right way, or we're not going to do it.
It's the FU price.
It kind of was, yeah. And then 2 months later, here we are. We're learning Zoom in, literally overnight to try to survive. And after we had done a number of events, we got to April, and I happened to be talking to Ryan Finch from our team, and who we worked night and day together online from his home. He was in California where he started, and then in Mayapack, and myself, we literally worked night and day every day for probably 6 months. So, it's like the camera seemed to be on the entire time. We were joking around, like, you remember when somebody asked me about that Zoom thing and I told them $10,000 and now it's free? And we're just laughing. I'm like, man, I'm an idiot. Like, because we didn't know that technology, we didn't use it. So, yes, it certainly forced us to learn. We learned a whole variety of different things very quickly.
But this
Really
goes back to
very
what you're
quickly.
saying, and everybody knows this story about the plumber, the bill from the plumber, right? They come and fix your thing, and it's $300. Why is it $300? Itemize it. The hammer was $5, knowing where to hit it, $295.
Yeah.
So I'm not even mad at you for charging that for Zoom. Nobody else knew what to. You still solved the
Nobody
problem.
was going to use it then. During that time, there would not be a professional company that would use that. Today, it's totally different. Now I recommend Zoom.
But Zoom they have a business package. You're paying a lot of money for Zoom now. Like if you need to
Yes.
host 100 people and have breakout rooms, you're paying.
We have a 1,000-person account for a webinar that I can do things backstage and do all.
That's not
because
$14.99 a month.
It
Is
is
what I'm saying.
not 14. No, it's not.
That's all I'm saying.
But like again, how can you take it to the next level? Because they're only going to pay someone doing our work if they can't do it, or they need it to be at a certain quality level. If it's just no, it'll be fine. Well, then don't pay us. Like we're not your guys for just fine.
Joe, we
We're
didn't
your
get
guys
this.
for where it needs to kick ass or be perfect. That's where we're a fit. If it's important to you. If it's just it'll be fine. Well, maybe we're not those people.
If it needs to be, yeah, no, I agree with that. It's the confidence.
Yeah.
That's why I think you and I work together. It's just the confidence in knowing that no matter what gets put in front of that person, they're going to be able to handle it and pull it off. Like I don't second guess any part of. There's plenty of vendors where I'm like, I hope they don't screw this up.
You don't want to be in that position. You really don't. That's not a great feeling.
The thing that I'll sort of close on, because even though we've been friends and we work together, and I know a lot about you, I know you will.
I'm sorry, pal.
I know, but I do. I look up to you in a lot of ways, and then there's some other ways where I look down on you.
Oh boy.
I'm just kidding.
Yikes. That's because I'm 5'4". I know where you're going with this.
I wasn't even going to say that.
Jackass.
No, I've shared it with you offline about where I am. I admire you in a lot of ways, and it's really in your without. I don't need to pull back the veil on this, but it's just your business savviness. I think that anybody who wants to be a business owner, or just wants to know like what it takes to run a bit, like what it really entails. Like if there's somebody who's considering about stuff, because I started this business when I was 25. If I woke up today with no business, I would not have the testosterone Joe, I'd be so afraid of starting a business now.
You have more to lose. That's why.
Well, I didn't know
You didn't know what you didn't know.
Now that I know what it like, I'd be like, no way, I'm never gonna work 18-hour days for 20 years to pull this thing off. But I think there's actually a lot to learn from you from that business sense. So that's every conversation I learned something from you, and it's really great. But something else that I'm amazed, and actually this is where I'm jealous of you.
Oh, celoso.
You're like a musician, and I know that some people don't call drummers musicians,
nice. See,
but I
that's
do.
the old joke.
But I
isn't it?
do because I don't know how to play any instrument, and people think that I do because I have long hair and I'm creative and blah blah blah, whatever. No idea how to play an instrument. I can dance, but I can't. Piano. My right and left hand just don't coordinate together. I used to play the bass clarinet as a kid, but then kind of got made fun of because
This is bass clarinet.
and you're a dude in 8th grade, and it's like,
That's not
why
a-
don't you just go play the clarinet? You're one seat away. So I never really had like motivation, and I was never inspired. It was never my thing. But like, you still play, right?
Oh yeah,
Like you have a band.
yeah. Wireless mic and
Do you not like to talk about this? I think this is so fascinating about you.
I mean, I love music.
I just don't
Always have.
I don't understand you in this way.
Okay. Which way?
you're such a good business owner in the field of sound, and then you have your own band. Like, which came first? Like, were you in sound, and then you found corporate AV, or
So, all right, I can tell you that because there's a story that goes with this. So, when I first came and started, right, I did not come from anything audiovisual before. I was selling supplies, tools, uniforms, had no background whatsoever in what I'm doing.
but you knew how to play the drums at this point? Okay,
I
so
played the drums when I was 16 to like, we'll call it 25.
you started late.
Yeah.
All right, there's
Played
hope for
drums as
me.
a kid.
I mean, I'm
Yeah,
43,
you
but
still got time. You still got time. And anyway, so then, especially I was bouncing back and forth, traveling, whatever, and had my son. Like, you can't play drums around a baby; it doesn't work. That's what my ex-wife told me. So so then later on, I really didn't come back to drums until like 40. But let's go
wow.
back. Let's go back. So when I had hired this guy, right? I just started. I've been maybe working at corporate AV like 6 months. I worked for Lou. Lou hired me, and I had hired this guy to do sales. And I realized, man, he is not getting it. I'm like, huh, what is it? So we're sitting there talking. I'm like, I don't know how it came up. I'm like, hey, what kind of TV do you have at home? He's like, oh, I got this 13-inch black and white. I'm like, shit. This dude has absolutely no interest in this. No wonder he's not getting it. I'm like,
He's still doing antennas on the.
I don't know what he's doing. The rabbits, he's on the roof. I don't know. Yeah, we parted ways like a week later. But I'm like, whoa. So as I was trying to build the organization, because it was maybe like 6 months, 7 months later is when kind of I ended up, kind of taking over the organization.
impressive.
Was I'm like, I need people who like breathe this kind of stuff. And so now almost literally every person that works for us has got some background in theater, art, photography. They're making their own videos. They're singing. There's pro dancers. We have literally in childhood Annie toured the country for 3 years. This other dude that was an actor. He's still an actor today, but everybody is connected to the arts. And there's just an innate passion for something that's a show. For me, I'm a huge Kiss fan. Always have been since I was like 8 years old. Everything about the performance, I love. If I could have pyro go off every day when I walk in the office, I would. If it
Where did
didn't,
you see them on what you on
As a-
MTV? Like what? Where do you think you saw them?
I mean,
Because that wasn't accessible.
no, but the album covers alone
Oh,
are
yeah,
so
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
And
Like my parents didn't let me watch MTV, so like or Howard Stern. I had to sneak these things like late at night. That's why I asked. Like again jealousy because like you were seeing Kiss when you were 8. Like
well, like I saw a record, I'm like, whoa,
whoa, who are
what's
these guys?
this? And unfortunately, Ace Frehley just passed. He's the original guitar player, and he's actually from the area, literally a local guy who now I know like 4 people that have played with him, which I
Wow.
didn't know this way back. But this is how small the world is and connected. And his drummer was always my favorite drummer. I got to meet him and hang out like for a night, like talking drums. It was like the most amazing. It's surreal because as a kid, now you're seeing someone as an adult later on that it doesn't make sense in your brain. I've worked with people I saw concerts of when I was like 14, 15, 16, all hair metal bands and stuff. Like I've actually worked with all those guys now
Wow.
over the course of time. And that's surreal in many ways. Because otherwise, celebrities, none of that doesn't do anything for me. I would prefer to have a good conversation with you than, hang around with somebody that I mean nothing to. That's useless.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a job. That's work. That work is one thing, So we always tell people stay away from like, don't go taking pictures. Don't get in anybody's business. You're usually in their private space, like backstage or wherever. Like, leave them alone. Do not do that. And that goes right down the line. But
That's a great point because that's professionalism. Like you be
gotta be a
professional
pro.
because they're being a professional.
if they want to do something with the
or
team
afterwards, if they get off
afterwards,
stage, yeah,
off stage, that's different.
yeah.
But you got to let them prep and get ready to be the star that they are, so to speak. And it doesn't matter what it is. That's the moment. But so that everybody is connected to music or theater or the arts in some capacity, but I didn't learn that until I made a mistake. And I think that's how most of running a business is there you're I used to call it my $10,000 mistake. Like every year there was some ridiculous thing that I had no control over.
Did it happen
There
this
was
year?
like a $10,000 mistake.
Is your streak intact?
Do not mess with me. I still have 2 weeks. Anything can happen. So please do not mess with me. It's been a good, it's been safe so far, but I mean, anything can happen. You know, whether it's tax related or how something is coded or,
Yeah.
you know, we've gone through audits. There's a lot of employees.
Maybe
So,
one of your decimals were off and you thought you had an extra. And then, oh, I don't
no,
have 1,000. It's 10. I owe 10, not 1,000.
like there's always some crazy thing, and you just have to keep learning from it. But that music, you know, music has always been a part of my life. And after 40 is where I really got to kind of dig into it, get back in a band, and we formed an in-house band because everybody's a musician. I mean, person who runs our warehouse is literally a world-renowned guitar player, has played with rock and roll Hall of Famers. Like he's ridiculous. There's all these. We have 4 people writing music. I mean, 21-year-olds that can sing better than anyone I've ever heard in my life. I mean, it's incredible the talent that we have in our building. And I tell people we have the most talent, creative talent in any place in Westchester in our building. And nobody knows that, which is so cool. It's like
Dude,
our hidden secret.
But I have some ideas now.
It's the layer.
I think, oh my God. Almost think you should have your own. I know you do these things, but I almost think you should have your own gala.
We're going to do a talent show. Corporate AV's Got Talent.
But
It's coming
please
up.
charge money and have
It's
the
coming
money go to either your pirate university or a nonprofit that you like. I actually think you can make a fundraising. Maybe it's just me. I'll make, and I'm saying this live online. I will make a video for you for free. I don't care because that, if you don't know my personal story, like it would just be it would have been easy for me based on, speaking of leadership, as a teenager, I did not have people steering me correctly for how I was built and made up. So I was pushed because I am smart. I do have my bad days, but I have some level of intelligence here, but applied in the wrong manner. I seem dumb. I struggled in high school. I was terrible. And it just keep going there. And it's like, that's not me. So when I hear this, and I only have all these things in my life now is because I fought through for my own, sanity and wanting to have my own creativity and steer my own ship, so to speak. So it's on a personal level. Like I relate to all those people because they're trying to survive in a business and in a world that maybe they're not entirely built for, to be honest.
Very much so, because the world doesn't cater towards them. It's not the typical. So I'm always telling people, I'm like, look, we don't have the typical 9 to 5, 2.2 kids and the dog type of people. We have people who have real creative visions, and it might keep them up all night long.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but they're still ready to rock the next day because they're doing something that they like. If they were doing some regular job, you know, they're gonna hate it. You know, one of the younger guys, he's got a whole bunch of music videos. He sings, he writes. Didn't know that.
Is that the
until-
one that wanted to work for me, but he worked for you instead?
Maybe.
I'm pretty sure it was him.
At one point, like we didn't know this. I'm like, how come you didn't tell anybody this about the videos and stuff? Well, you know, I was trying to keep my work separate from my personal. I'm like, you're missing the whole point here.
Yeah.
The whole point is these people that you're surrounded with are going to be your biggest supporters. And you need to understand that. So just last Friday night, he helped some guys that they had a space they were going to be playing in, all original music. And their space, I don't know, something having a double booked or something. So he helped them find another place to play. They had one band play, all original music. They kicked ass. They brought in some other friends. They became like a middle act. And then my salesperson was there. He was opening act. He's writes his own music. He's playing drums. He's playing guitar. He's doing beats.
This is so
I'm
cool.
like,
So cool.
and when I looked around the room, there's at least 20 people from our group connected to our group that were there. I said, that's pretty amazing because that's impact. When you look around, who's around you, who's supporting you, and that's what we have like this network that we've kind of built in some ways, and in other ways it exists on the outskirts. But when you're in the infamous gig economy, then you need people to kind of connect with, and I think that's one of the things. We have kind of a safe environment for people to succeed and learn and to move forward and grow in their career. And we're not wishing against them. We're trying to help them. And that's the other day in somebody a book about, he was talking about like stock market, like he's like 22 or 23. I'm like, what do you know about that? And he's talking some ideas. So I hand him this book the other day called the Latte Factor. I'm like, start here, read this. And we're talking, he's like, this is so cool. I'm like, yeah, well, if you talk to some of the old dogs over there, so it's not just how do you get better in, learning sound. It's how do you become a good person and how do you affect your environment too. I think if you have a long-term perspective and a bigger vision of it, it makes sense. If you're struggling to make the dollar to pay the lights, it's a harder run. So you got to get through that first wall. But that's kind of business, is the way I look at it. I love it. It's got a lot of hard days, but I can't imagine like working for somebody else right now.
No, because you wouldn't
I
be able
couldn't
to.
imagine.
Not that this is where you want to be, like right here, right now, but you were able to do it. Like if you work for somebody else, there's these freedoms, I mean, we have a lot of bosses and a lot of responsibilities,
Absolutely.
but we also have a lot of freedom.
Yeah, no, freedom's what people want. They just, they want to know that they can control their own destiny. And I think that's what it gives you. But there's a lot of challenge that goes with that. There's a lot of push and pull, especially as you have young children, as you're growing your family. Like it's pretty complicated. Nobody wants to hear that you can't make that, soccer game, that dance recital. Nobody wants to hear that. It's not acceptable. For me, that helped me go see all these things. And I maintain a certain structure in my family life that I went to every game. I went to every, dance recital, but because of the flexibility. And then sometimes you got to trade off and make some deals,
But what a great example. So
how good is that?
you think about anybody that sees you, the people that work for you, work with you, see that you're doing that. So they'll model, whether they realize it or not, when they have their career set and their kids. But also your kids notice. It's like everybody gets to see it. Like
Hopefully, I think you're the only one who listens to me. So, I mean, hopefully. But
it feels that way.
it might again be the headphones.
No, just being a dad is.
You learn a lot being a
We're not
father.
allowed to complain, but it's tough. But that's all I'll say about that. It makes so much sense. Just speaking of freedom, you're probably out of it. I'm sure Marissa is texting you saying like you got to be someplace. But it makes sense. Last night, really, when I book these, it's you got a text, hey, let's do it, and there is no prep, right? I mean, you can confirm when you're like, what are we going to talk about? I don't really tell you, right?
It's like Seinfeld. It's like a show about nothing. I mean,
But this is what happens, and I think we found some things and that I find value in, and it makes sense to have you across from here. We actually met. We found out about each other. This is actually where we met. So I think might have been role reversal. I'm not
yes,
sure.
I think I was on that side.
And it's been such an enjoyable experience working with you and getting to know you. It makes sense that we would have a very easy conversation here. I align with you on so many things. You make my life easier, and that's like really important for me also to do for other people. Like when I talk about helping people, you'll see there's a quote. It's from Ralph Waldo Emerson, but he just talks about the true success is just making somebody's life a little bit easier because life is hard, right? And the people that we work with, their lives tend to be hard. But yeah, it just makes so much sense. Everything you were saying about who you are and why I'm okay with spending as much time as we do together, because you truly are just a well-rounded, good person. And one day I'll tell more of your good story. But I think just saying and hearing you, again, business owner, conscious business owner, because you don't just want to pay people and send them home and never hear from them again. You're talking about
Yep.
encouraging them, having them grow, being a part of their life, like it's an environment and experience. So I love all of that. I know you got to go. You got an event tonight. You have a holiday party next week. I can't. Are you going to play your drums next week or no?
No.
Damn it! I'm not going. I'm out. I'm gonna.
Next week we just got hopefully
Alexis,
we got
who do I
some-
email?
We got
Alexis,
some
I'm out.
Latin
Alexis.
dancing, hopefully. I mean, vamos a bailar. I mean, we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna eat some food, but it'll be just a chill time. Everybody's so much fun that it's easy.
I had such a good
It's
year with you.
easy.
Such a good. This is a great way to start winding down my year. Is just to have these awesome conversations with folks like you. So, thank you
Very
for being
cool.
here. That was
It
it.
was a pleasure.
Thanks,
This
Joe.
was a good conversation.
It was a good story with Joe Gilderson, and that's that.